Hello, hello, hello. Hola, hola, hola. Welcome to a new episode of the Yoga for All Bodies video podcast. Today, as you can see on your screen, I have an incredible guest for you. Melanie Rivera Waldman is a passionate disability rights advocate, registered yoga teacher, actor, and filmmaker. Melanie specializes in teaching accessible yoga for all body types, with any to all abilities. Melanie's hope is that in sharing her story about acquiring her own disability, she can help to normalize the role that disability plays in our current society. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you so much for introducing me.
I'm so happy you're here. I love what you do. I love your message. So I'm
Thank you.
honored and excited.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. This is lovely.
So I would like to start asking you, how did yoga came to your life?
Great question. So I've been doing yoga for about 15 years. Like you said, I also do acting and filmmaking. So I was a dancer when I was in high school, and I believe in our gym classes, we would have yoga sometimes, but I eventually got more into it when I was in college and needed to stretch after my dance classes. And it was a good way for my friends and I to get together. We would do athletic yoga. And that was kind of the first time that I did that for myself. I also was a camp counselor for summer camp, and the kids would have yoga. So when we would take the kids to their session, we would end in Shavasana. And I just always thought that it was so magical that, this rowdy group of third graders would just nap, and they fully enjoyed it. So that was kind of the first love affair I had with yoga, started there. And it continued on. I took a break from it a little bit. I went to work, and I eventually became disabled in 2013. And when that happened, I came home. I moved back home with my parents. And when I did that, I had said to one of my family members, I really wish I could get back into yoga. I really wish that I could do this. And I didn't know how, because there wasn't any standard of, well, this is how we do it for people with disabilities. As you, I'm sure, know, that there is really nothing that tells yoga teachers how to adapt. They just tell them to give you choices. So I was always a little bit, right. So they're they don't really know how to accommodate. And we still see that a lot today with especially pregnant women coming into classes. And not every yoga teacher knows what the twists and poses to avoid are, which is extremely dangerous. But I was really weary of doing that on my own because I didn't know how to adapt. So I think my cousin had told a studio owner that I had this worry about getting back into my practice, that I really wanted to. So the owner of the studio paired me up with a yoga teacher who was an occupational therapist. So, right, it was perfect. And she and I did a one-on-one. And I eventually got back into yoga from there. And it was Baptiste yoga, which is hot yoga, athletic yoga. I threw myself literally right into the fire and just went for it. Took 3 months, and I eventually decided I wanted to be a teacher. And that was it.
Amazing. Amazing. Love it.
Thank you.
I have so many questions with what you have just shared. Number one, what can you tell us about your disability?
Sure. So
I know your story, but I want to hear it from you.
I'm currently a right arm amputee below the elbow. I still have my elbow, so I'm able to do forearm positions, which is really cool. I can do some arm balance stuff, but not too much. I don't go too crazy there. But I also live with lupus SLE. So I'm currently in the process of monitoring that, along with, other health issues that I have. But I identify as both someone who lives with a physical disability and an invisible illness. So I see through both lenses, which is really important when you're doing work for accessible yoga, to have that aspect of every disability and every different illness that somebody might have and what it might be prevented from in those cases.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. And I know, because you're also a filmmaker, you did a short film about your story.
Yeah.
I watched it, loved it. And
thank you.
there, I think it lasts like 5.5 minutes, and you can really feel, you can really connect with your story.
Thank you.
And you mentioned there that you were in 2013 working in your dream job at Disney. What happened there? Can you share with us your journey?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So, like I said, I was getting into yoga, graduated from college in New Jersey, and I got myself onto the Disney College program, which was the dream job. I was working in both. It was partially entertainment, partially, which I'm, an actor, and that's everything to me. So I got to be a pirate, which is a little bit ironic because now I'm a pirate. So, so now it's like, oh, okay, pirate for life. That's cool. I got to go down there and live in Florida and work in Florida. It was amazing. It was a great time. However, I think that I wore myself too thin while I was down there. And that's when I was diagnosed with lupus, was when I moved there. So I was seeing a rheumatologist down there who specializes in lupus and arthritis and all of those illnesses. So my doctor down there basically saved my life. He found that there were 2 blood clots in the artery of my right wrist. It was cutting off the circulation in my hand and fingers. So one hand was white and one hand was red. And it was a mess. I was in the hospital for 30 days down there. And when they told me that, they lost function in my hand, I had what's called a heparin-induced thrombocytopenia hit. And when that happened, they tried to salvage what they could of my hand. However, they were only able to save so much. So that was, it was hard to go through, but it was a couple days before my hand was amputated. So I knew a little bit ahead of time what was going on. So that was really helpful. And they had, psychiatrists and therapists come in to work with me. And that's actually what looped me back into this whole yoga circle, is that we started talking about mindfulness and meditation and getting really clear on the things that we wanted. So that was kind of my reawakening and, my reunited state there with yoga too. So I really appreciated that, and it made it a lot easier. And now, because of that, I consider myself a really big advocate for mental health, as well as physical, as well as, disabled people have to deal with all of these things. It kind of has just all culminated into one thing for me. So I think that, it was really important for me to go through the mental health aspects of that to get me to a point where, now I'm doing okay, and I've been able to turn my story around. But ultimately, I was studying theater before and trying to be a performer, and now that's exactly what I'm doing. So I don't think that, becoming disabled is really anything that stopped me from my own ambitions and desires. And I think that yoga was a really big tool to help me get those things.
Love it. Love it. And it's amazing to hear that also in the medical world, they were mentioning and saying mindfulness, yoga. Because we still hear that some people is like, they have no idea what yoga is. They think yoga is like Cirque du Soleil, only balancing and
pretzel poses.
Yes. So love it. And how did your practice change from before the disability and after the disability?
That's a really good question too, because I think I'm still trying to discover that for myself. I think that's ever changing just because of my health and the way that my life has gone. I don't know if it really majorly changed, other than my down dog, instead of being, hands to the mat, now is forearms for dolphin pose. Now, I haven't done a hot yoga practice or a full Baptiste practice in months, just because of COVID. It's been quite a while for me, just because it's also very hard when you're not in a yoga space to do yoga by yourself. I think that I'm very much getting used to the idea of, okay, well, if you want to do it, you have to do it on your own, which I loved the community aspect of it. So for me, it's very hard not to have the breath, which is everything with COVID. We don't want the breath.
True.
Really big contradiction for me. So a lot of the love that I had for yoga there, I'm kind of like grieving the loss of almost, so I'm still readjusting my practice every day. And I think that that's something that everybody needs to know, is that your practice will always change for the rest of your life. You're going to get injured. You're going to hurt one part of your body. You're going to fall or topple over and hurt one part of you that you're not going to be able to use the same way the next day. So I think that, it's easy to get wrapped up in what I used to do, what I can't do anymore, rather than focusing on like, look at all these things that I can do. So that's been a really big help for me, I think, in like realizing that.
Yes. And also I think at the end of the day, it makes you a better teacher because you understand.
Thank you.
You have lived it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it does. It changes everything. And I think that, when we talk accessible yoga, a lot of the 200-hour teacher trainings really don't cover disabilities, injuries, pregnancies, mental health states, or chronic illnesses, even for people who come in and, say I have a problem with this. And yoga teachers aren't doctors, though a lot of the medical world says, oh, go do yoga. People show up to yoga expecting us to know everything their doctor's telling us. And we're just there to make sure that everybody's safe. We're just there to make sure you don't hurt yourself in the process. And it's a little sad. My wish for the future is that would change, but we shall see.
Yes, also my wish. Yes. For example, in my 200-hour, no, we covered prenatal yoga only a couple of hours, and it was super helpful. But
was it like a day for you? I think mine was a day.
It was like an afternoon.
yeah, exactly. It was like a few hours. That's it.
Yes. So when I wanted to become a yoga teacher, I was on a mission. I knew what I wanted to share, so I knew what I had to study. But if you go and take a 200-hour, unless you're taking a 200 inaccessible yoga or adaptive yoga, but otherwise, And in the same line, you mentioned that you started or welcome back your practice in a private, in a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And what happened there? You decided to become a teacher, and how did you choose your 200-hour?
Sure. So it did happen, just a one-on-one, and it was, at first I was wearing, I remember, a t-shirt and shorts, and found that very restricting. I found myself struggling through the practice because it's power yoga, so it was a lot. So I don't do power yoga so well anymore. Now I really like the more gentle stuff, but it helped me learn how to get to that point, like just, I don't know, just kind of struggling through it did help me. So it wasn't immediately that I decided to be a teacher. I did start, they have a program through Baptiste Yoga called 40 Days to Glory. I did that, did all 40 days. And that was, I think I was going 2 days a week to the studio. And this was a local yoga studio at the time. It wasn't far from home. And it was kind of nice that it was about a 20-minute drive. So I would meditate as I was driving, like just turn off the radio and sit there in silence and focus on the road. And it was great. It was perfect. So the studio where I was taking yoga, they had a scholarship for teachers. So I applied for the scholarship for the next teacher training, and I got it. And that was how I got my 200 hours. So that was perfect for me, especially as somebody who, I didn't really have a full-time job at the time. I was trying to figure out how to get back into the workplace after becoming disabled. And that, it still is taking me time to figure out. Not everybody really, I think just with anybody, you're trying to figure out how to have a stable life, and that took me some time. But being a yoga teacher through that time, I think helped me realize, what I wanted, get clear on what my goals were for the future. And now I feel like I do have those things in place, which is good.
Awesome. And once you started that training, did you face any challenge? The instructors were prepared to guide you with a disability, or what was your experience?
Yes and no. There were people on the teaching team who really did support me, and really did support the fact that, like, I was looking at what they were doing, what they were teaching for non-disabled people, through a lens of how can I do this for myself and then translate that to people who are non-disabled. So it was like thinking with two brains and playing catch up at the same time. So I would ask questions of like we had somebody leading the teacher training and then support people around, and I would ask a support person, okay, what would you say I do to translate that for myself? And the person leading it didn't like side talk. She wanted us to save our questions to the end. But I had so many, and there were so many things coming up. So yes and no. I think that, in that case, I did have the support that I needed, and that, I think the practice of Baptiste yoga itself is, something that you can make accessible to everybody. But things like, it's hot yoga, heated yoga isn't accessible for everybody. So there are some components of it that I was still like, okay, wait, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And I wasn't sure I was going to teach Baptiste right away, but I was trying to stay on that level of like, okay, this is this type of studio. If I want to teach here, I have to be able to do all these things. So yeah, it was a lot of like back and forth thinking. But I think that it gave me the edge in a sense, because that was how I then taught my classes, was that I was able to teach from a place of, I can't do this. I'm telling you to do this, but you don't have to. You just have to watch and know that that's what's coming next and where we're at. So like balancing is coming up. If you need a chair or a wall, now you can move to this part of the room, or bring a chair to your mat, do what you need to do. So it really did help me translate that in the future.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I love props. So yes.
Love the props.
Yes,
love
yes.
for props. All of the props, always.
And I've seen that you have different types of prosthetics.
Yes,
that's the name?
Do.
Yes.
Yes, very good.
What can you share about that? Because I see so many on your social media and love it.
Thank you. I actually don't know where the base is for my yoga hand, but I'll show you what it kind of looks like. So this is my yoga prosthesis. This is called a Nexo arm. I wear a sleeve, and I will put this over my shorter arm. It has a pin in it, and the pin will stick out almost like a unicorn horn. It'll go inside there. It clicks in, so then this won't come off. This ending can be changed. So this is like a volleyball hand, just like a regular hand. I push a button and the ending comes off, and there are different extensions for different activities. So this one, like I said, is for volleyball. The one that I have for yoga, I should have had right in front of me, but I don't. It looks like a mushroom. It's called the mushroom. And that one really does help me. When I'm doing plank position, I can get to a forearm pose from that by bending my elbow, but I can't fully get my arms straight. So my plank positions are a little bit off. I'm kind of learning that I love that for yoga for certain types. However, I find myself in hot yoga classes halfway through abandoning it because I don't need it for balancing poses and I don't need it for twists and chair pose. So it's here and there. It's technology for sure. So we all have to get used to that. And it is a good prop in itself. My favorite prop is a cork block, like a yoga block made from cork, which I have behind me. It's holding up my light, my prop for my Zoom calls.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, you use your props in every way. You have to. But I love that. I will use that with like maybe a foam block on top to give me a little cushion. And that's perfect for my push-ups and from going to one pose to another without having to pop my prosthesis on and off. But it is very cool. I can use that arm for bike riding and for kickboxing. They have extensions for everything. So it is really cool to get to use. Yeah, whatever I want to do, I can think of anything and there will be something to do it with.
That's amazing.
Really cool. Thank you.
And you also create videos for your social media. And I see that you have lights in the arm. It's super cool.
So, I do have that hand. I actually accidentally broke it the other day.
Oh,
lights do still turn on.
Love it.
This one's one of my favorites. I love that it lights up and it's really cool. I get to customize these and I make videos on how I do. This is my hand that you see in those videos. It does turn on. This is the one. And then these plates come on and off so you can design them in different ways. This one has Lisa Frank stickers, like the little, I don't know if you can see it,
Oh,
but
yes.
yes. So I love doing that, and it's kind of cool to get to do for like different seasons and holidays. Whatever mood I'm in, I can change them out, or my outfit. The downside is that I've had this thing since May, and we went into lockdown in March. So I don't really get to wear it with many outfits anywhere.
Oh. Only for social media.
Only for social media. And you know what? That's okay, because what I'm seeing a lot of is comments. What type of hand is that? Where do I look if I want that? And I'm able to provide people with answers and, give them resources for where they can find prosthetics in their area. So I really love that. Even though it's not so much yoga, it's definitely a lot about community, which is a big part of yoga for me anyway. As I've said, I love that.
Absolutely, yes. And if we start like digging, it's yoga at the end of the day.
It is yoga. Yes, it is.
Yes.
You are right.
Because you're helping others. Imagine someone that has just become disabled, and they think that maybe they are so into fashion, and they say it's done for me, and it's not the case. So
No.
you're really showing. I love, because I feel that you're sharing your personality at the end of the day. So yes.
No, it's true. And I am one of those people who did become disabled. I was not disabled before this. I only got my lupus diagnosis just before I became disabled. So it's all very much a relearning. I'm going into my 8th year of being an amputee. So this is, I'm now year 8, and you imagine somebody who's just lost a hand, and they're going through the same struggles that I'm going through. So I do love being a part of the disability community in that regard. I love volunteering. I volunteer for the Amputee Coalition, and I'm an ambassador for a couple different organizations, Lucky Fin Project, and it's just been so cool to get to meet and connect with all of these different organizations and groups. I also teach yoga for these organizations at Challenged Athletes Foundation. So it's, I haven't taught so much yoga lately because I've had some of my own health struggles, and I'm still navigating all of those. However, to be able to do that while in quarantine, it's another thing that, when you go through all these health struggles, you're somebody who's lived in the hospital for 30 days. That's also quarantine. And these are things that a lot of people with disabilities have had to deal with before everybody went into lockdown for COVID. So say like a non-disabled person right now is struggling with depression and anxiety and maybe PTSD. They might not realize that they're going through loss of former life and dealing with all of these mental health struggles that people are starting to see affect them in other ways that they might not have thought before. So it does kind of give me that like edge, I think, in connecting to everybody. Like, no, it's okay for you to feel the way that you're feeling, because we're all feeling that. And just to have that little knowledge of like, this is something I've been through before myself many times, then I'm able to help pretty much anybody through this. So I really love that, yoga has been there for me to connect all these people online and make these videos for them. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. That design is great. These are all things that, are accessible to people in their own ways. So I think that, it sucks to be in this time. We all wish that it was over. But at the same time, it's okay.
It's wonderful that we are living in an era in which we can be on Zoom, in which we can be on social media. Because I think more, and I've seen it, at least my experience, when the pandemic hit, the lockdown hit, for the first time, I had really time to connect with the people on social media.
Absolutely.
We were used to job. I was basically commuting all over town to teach yoga. So once I was here, I was able to really take the time to share a message. And now, as you were saying, is more needed than any time.
Yes. And I love your videos. I love the things you're posting, because I'm not so busy like posting all the other things, but because I can't physically do yoga to see the things that you post, I'm always reposting them. I'm like, look, it's here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do them with all my heart.
Yes, absolutely. You can see that. You truly do it. They're wonderful.
And I love that you are sharing your message, because I know there are a lot of people that maybe because of their personality or because they are not in that point yet, they are not so open to to, at the end of the day, show that disabilities exist, that disabilities are not something
Yes.
to be hidden, to be
Mhm.
ashamed of, that they are, you can live your life, you can do everything else. So what
Yeah.
what can you tell us about that, about representation
Yes.
and the way disabilities are portrayed?
I think that's really, really important. There are a lot of people out there who are, they do see the things that we're posting and they're saying, I don't know how you do it, or you're so busy, you're always doing, doing, doing. But at the same time, I think everybody has their own strengths. And I think that, it's very easy to compare right now. It's very easy to say, well, I can't do that and I can't. And the more that you focus on that, the worse you feel. And then you just go down a rabbit hole of poor me. But I think that when you play to your own strengths and you aren't trying to reinvent the wheel with what you know, and you stick to your guns and what makes you happy and what brings you joy and things that you're actually very good at, stick to those things, because that's what will keep your life fulfilled, keep you feel like you're doing something and connecting with others and connecting with yourself mostly. I think that the more that we stray away and say, I would love to do this, I dream of doing this, the more baby steps you take towards those things and goals that you set for yourself, the more you set yourself up for those things to come true. And if not, you can look to other people who are doing the same thing you want to do and ask them. It's so easy to reach out. We've reached out to each other many times and we've never met in person. And it's funny that now that that's how pretty much every new friend I make is, it's through the internet. We all have at this point, there's so many internet friends. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Clubhouse.
Yes,
I just joined Clubhouse and I'm amazed by it. I wish there were some more accessibility features, but I love how quickly you can make connections with people. It's like calling up a friend and they're like, oh, my friend so-and-so is here, I'll give you the phone. And then all of a sudden you're talking to Paralympians and all these people with disabilities that you're like, I know who you are. Like, how you're talking to me, you're answering my questions. It is just like, I've gotten so starstruck on that app. So I think that that's a really good way to surround yourself with the people that you really look up to and get to really soak in what they have to give you. I think it is so cool to be on Clubhouse right now. So I'm a big advocate for it right now.
Love it. I think I joined last week, so I'm going to explore it. I'm going to explore it more.
Absolutely. So my tip for you is to follow people and then put in what you are really interested in, because it learns from you and what you're listening to and what your interests are. So just play around with it and I'll find you in there.
Yes. Love it. And what you're saying is key. I always say it in social media, in life, you need to curate your environment. First thing. I see so many people that always are taking breaks on social media, things like that. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, why are you doing that? Social media is supposed to be inspiring, entertaining, maybe even a little bit challenging. But if it's making you feel miserable, you're following the wrong people.
That is such a good point. Oh my goodness, I think you just changed my life.
So unfollow.
Yes,
I ran
that's my big thing too.
Yes.
And follow all the accounts that make you feel the worst.
Yes. Why do you want to suffer? No. I have in my feed puppies, cakes, food, yoga. You don't need to have one line. Oh, this is my life and I'm going to follow all the yoga teachers of the world, the most famous yoga teachers. No. Why? It's your feed. Mental health first, always.
Yes, always. I agree.
Yes. And you already mentioned that your favorite prop is a cork block, because that's a question that I ask all the guests.
Oh, good.
So I would like to know, as you answer that question, favorite yoga pose, only one.
I will say like waterfall pose or pretty much any inversion, I would live there. I think that it's good for you in any times that you feel like you're stuck, when you feel like maybe mental health, like you're stuck on something. It doesn't matter. You can even sit on your phone in a waterfall pose because your feet are above your heart. As long as that happens, your body is recirculating, and it's almost like setting a reset button for yourself. It really
Love
does
it.
work. And I promise you, next time that happens, just sit in an inversion of whatever and it'll change your life.
Love it. So go and do it right now.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going after this.
Yes. And finally, how can people find you? Promote yourself, give all the information.
You can find me at melanieriverawaldman.com. That's my website. I'm also on Instagram. It's the same name, all one word, Melanie Rivera Waldman. Also, my personal yoga account is Where's Waldman. So like Where's Waldo, but it's all Where's, Wheres Waldman, my last name Waldman. And then everything's connected on my website.
Love it. And I'm going to also add the link to your movie, to your short video.
Thank you.
Short film.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I
invent the names. It's
that's
short
okay.
film.
It works. Yeah, short movie type thing. I'm actually doing. It was for the Disability Film Challenge. I do it every year, and I'm doing one this upcoming March. It'll probably come out, I think, in April. So if you want, I'm gonna post that on my website and on all my socials. So keep your eye out for that too.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your passion. Because we need to visibilize. I don't know if this is a word, but we need to allow people to see that everybody can practice yoga.
And the hashtag is disability visibility is right now there's a book on it. It's by Alice Wong, but it's a great title. So I'm using that on everything. Disability visibility.
Love it. Yes.
More of that. I want more of that in my life. That's all I want.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much. A big hug. And if you're watching this video, like it, share it, subscribe. Because it's a message we need to share. Thank you so much. A big hug.
Thank you.
See you soon. And see you at your homes.
Bye.
I will see you in a new episode. Bye.